Hello everybody, my name is Khaled Siddiqui. In this video I'm going to teach you how to change the battery or the screen in a Randy McNally TND700 truck GPS. So it's a model Intelliroute TND700 and it's from Rand McNally. So the hardest part on this is how to open it, which I'm going to show you. But once you open it, everything else is, a walk in the park. Pretty easy. So here's how we do it. The first thing you need to do, you see this writing here? This you have to peel off. And also this becomes very sticky and you have to use alcohol to wipe it clean because it becomes so sticky that it will stick in your hands. That's from the anti-sled coating that they put on it so it doesn't slide back and forth from your hands and fall down, and it's causing problems as years go by, because this is a good 15 20 year old GPS. Okay, so we have to remove this first. Now you could remove the edges first, but then you will have a lot of problems bending it, and once you bend it, it's very hard to put it back together. That's why I'm gonna remove it all. Okay, let me start from this edge to give me a little hand. Now remember, once you remove this, you can never put it back together the same, because no matter how good you are with straightening that middle, it's never gonna be like the factory. That's a fact. So you have to straighten this, straighten it, because you will be using the same plate. Now the adhesive that they use, it's not reusable, so you have to wipe it clean, wipe this clean and put a double-sided tape to put it back in place. All right, 4 screws, 1 2 3 4. You have to remove 4 screws. It's a standard Phillips screwdriver, so you're gonna use a standard Phillips screwdriver. I'm gonna use a thing to put it in. Okay, all 4 screws are out. I'm gonna unplug this. I should have unplugged it in the beginning, but yeah. This will now pop out. It's a little not like very simple, because they have these little these little hooks that you need to look for. And be very careful. Remove the adhesive from your knife, because that will create problems. Remember, this is your touch screen too, so be very gentle. You don't want to break your touch screen. See the hooks? That's how the hooks are. So basically that's what we are trying to unhook. This was already broken. This was already broken. I didn't do that. So be careful for that kind of stuff, Okay, so what do you know? We have another screw in the corners. Which we need to open. This is not gonna be fun to straighten the front glass, I mean the plastic. Let's see if we have another screw. Oh yeah, we do have another screw. Let's see. We have 4 screws here. So far I have taken out 8 screws. Let's see if there are more screws. Hopefully there isn't, because this is way too many screws already. Okay, looks like this side is out. We are getting there. We are getting there. Okay, there should be another screw there because it's resisting. Let's see if we have another screw there. Look, what did I say? Another screw. So that makes a total of 9 screws. That's a lot of screws. Okay, so remember, let me say that again to you. Let me detach. So I have to detach the screen from the frame with these little things so I can show you exactly what was holding it. So we have 9 screws. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This side, on the left side of the screen, there's one in the center. This side there is no screw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 here. This is a protective plastic, also the touch screen, but the actual touch screen, that the digitizer, is this. So this is not so important if it gets, you know, a little damaged. This you don't want to damage because this is the actual touch screen that responds to your commands. Okay. Now this you have to know. This is your inverter. The inverter, this circuit, or I should say this right here to that, is only the backlight or inverter that illuminates the backlight of the screen. It has no other effect. I mean, it has no other role. Now what we need to do is we need to remove this with a knife. Make sure not to puncture or damage the battery because there are some chemicals that is not good for you. And also make sure to recycle these batteries. They're not supposed to be in the landfill. In many countries, European countries, in the United States as well, it's against the law to throw lithium ion or any rechargeable battery in the garbage. So you have to recycle it. Keep that in mind. Red is positive, black is negative, and we have to desolder these 2 wires. Okay, so let's desolder these. You need a soldering iron, obviously. Okay, let's see why my soldering iron is acting up. Okay. Plus minus. Keep that in mind. Alrighty, so now let's bring our replacement battery. Okay, so the replacement battery has the same leads, red and black, and it has a little adhesive in the back, 3M adhesive that you peel off in order to attach it here. You have plenty of room, I mean plenty of space to attach it. Again, make sure to pay attention here. Let me zoom in so you can see there. And now this part I have to zoom in because you must see. Now watch. Here it says negative, here it says positive. I'm going to show you. Positive, negative. So the black goes here, the red goes there. Let's solder the red one first, the positive one first. And we will solder the negative second. Okay. That's a good soldering job right there. Or I should say acceptable soldering job. Okay. Now we are going to plug this in and see if the puppy's gonna work. Obviously the new battery, I'm not expecting it to work because they're usually not charged. Yeah. So it needs to be charged. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to change the screen if you have to. If you have to change the screen, let me turn this off. Okay. So now we will be learning how to change the screen. I'm going to unplug this. The screen has 3 connectors. This is the backlight, which goes to the inverter circuit. This is the touch screen, or it goes to the digitizer to the digitizer controller. This is the video cable. This is where the images and maps come through. So we have to unplug this, this, and this to change the screen. In order to do that, we have to open these screws. We have additional screws to open. Let me go from another angle so you can see better. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now I actually recommend unplugging, keeping the battery unplugged when you're doing this screen swap. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't recommend having live power to it while you're doing it. And also be careful when you're swapping this not to break the speaker wires. Be very, very careful. Okay. Now, if you notice, we don't want to break the speaker wire. So you see this flap right here? This flap opens. When you open the flap like this, this comes off. This flap opens too. This comes off. Now you have to replace the screen. You get the new, this is the good screen. So that, assuming this is the new screen, you put it back in. close the flap. The flap, to close it, it goes from this position to this position, this little flap. Same thing with the digitizer. Closed and closed. We put this back in. Be very careful. Very careful not to break that speaker cable again. Make sure all the plugs are, all the jacks are aligned, these jacks, because if you don't align them, they won't, match up. Make sure they're all aligned and matching up before you put in the screws. Okay, so now it's the moment of truth to put these screws in. We're putting 4 screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. We put in the 4 screws. We plug this one back in, or I should say solder it back in. So I soldered that, and then I plugged this one back in. And that's it. Now, before I snap it close, I shouldn't snap it close actually. You know why? Because this has to go here first. Make sure you don't have glue residue. Clean this up. You don't want to have, because if this screen is dirty, once you close it, you have no access to clean this. So this has to be very nice and clean. This will snap in here. Snap it all around and close it. Make sure your cables are not on your way. This still needs to be charged, so battery is too weak. That is not fully charged battery. Now what we do, we put the screws back. We have 9 screws to put back. One, 2, 3. Tea. I need to drink tea. 3. This is the 4th one. 4. 5. That's 6. This one is 7. This one is going to be 8. What did I miss? I should have 9. And this one is 9. Okay, these, see how they're a little sticking up? You can heat it up with the like hair dryer and straighten it like this, and then you can glue it back in place. This part is sticking up. Let's find out why. Oh, the screw is not in. Oh, wait a minute, there's 10 screws. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 screws. There was another screw here which was already loose, but I put it back in place. Anyways, so that's how you put that. This you have to straighten. You have to straighten it as much as you can, and then put a double-sided tape to put it back in place like that. With a double-sided tape you can put it back in place, and then obviously you have to let the battery charge for hours before you have enough juice to power it up. This is a big unit. It requires a lot of juice to power up. A weak battery will not power it up. All right. Okay, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.